Hello, sixth graders. This is Mrs. Nephew again for Mrs. Armbrust and Mrs. Nephew's co-taught reading class. So Tuesday, September 29th, your job, as always, you'll know it's going to be in the weekly agendas and overview videos folder of your to-do task. But this is your overview video, so I'm going to go ahead and go right into your Unit 2 main idea and summarizing. All right, so you'll notice that we have a trimester 1 book talks flip grid there. Remember your goal for all of trimester 1, so you have until December 3rd, which is a long time, but about 1 book every 2 weeks you should finish, and you need to finish at least 6 books. And after you finish each one, do a book talk in here that you'll get graded on for trimester 1. All right, today you will get to read 20 minutes of your choice book. I would recommend, before adding to the discussion of what are you reading, to do our lesson Lift It Main Idea, because you're going to be asked in your discussion question to write about the main idea of what you read. So if we go into read number 4, Lift It Main Idea, you'll follow the directions, right? So you'll read through each slide to learn more about the main idea and details. You'll notice that it is here, but if it's not showing up right on your iPad or the formatting is weird, you can always click on here and it'll take you to a new tab. And it's kind of like a notebook because there's going to be some notes on what main idea and details are all about. So you'll notice that a lot of people sometimes get confused about main idea and author's purpose. So just so you know, author's purpose is the reason an author writes about a certain topic. You may have heard of PIE to describe author's purpose, and that is just an acronym to help you remember what are the 3 main author's purposes for writing are. So to persuade would be the P of PIE, to try to convince someone to do something. To inform is to give information about a topic. To entertain is to make the reader laugh, cry, or feel scared. And then main idea, though, which is what we're focusing on today, is information that tells more about the overall idea of a paragraph or section of a text. So basically, who or what was most important? What about them or it is most important? So what was the most important idea? Okay, so big point or the most important idea that the writer is communicating to the reader. Often the reader can find the main idea, especially for nonfiction, just by looking at the title or headings of a text. It's a little bit harder to find main idea in a fiction text, but it is possible. So some examples are, why students should have less homework is an article, right? So the main idea, we already know from the title, is students should have less homework, right? And the details, we haven't read the article, but if we did, of an article that is titled Why Students Should Have Less Homework, we know that the details would include any of those reasons to support why students should have less homework, okay? All right, so what's the point? That's kind of what the main idea answers. So if you can answer this, you have the main idea. I'm going to read the short paragraph to you, and then we're going to talk about if it makes sense at all. So, engineers create wealth for society. So, tennis is a game and the resources of the earth are scarce. Have you gone mad? Thus, the only solution is to educate the public on being socially responsible. Did this make sense? No, of course not. It didn't have a main idea. It didn't have an overall umbrella of what it needed to focus the paragraph. So it was super confusing and difficult to understand because it was made of all kinds of different ideas and they didn't really seem similar. So there was no common thread to help our brain understand what we were reading. So the good news is that most passages, especially like text that is published, have main ideas. So if you know that, it'll be easier to understand text as we read more complex text as we get older, okay? So again, main idea is the heart of a text or paragraph. It's the controlling idea. It's the big picture. So all the other details in a text support it, and it should tell us more about the main idea, basically. So you want to find that main idea, again, by asking, who or what is this passage about? What's the point? Okay? So topic sentence is a huge clue. So especially in when there's a text that has many paragraphs, sometimes there's more than one main idea within a overall text, right? So many paragraphs have topic sentences that basically give away the main idea. So I'm going to read this paragraph and we'll talk about what the topic sentence could be. Homeless people have many problems. In winter, it's hard to stay warm and it gets too hot in summer. It's also hard to keep things safe without a home. Worse, it's the lack of privacy. So the topic sentence would be, homeless people have many problems. Okay, it said it right away at the beginning. And then everything that follows after are the supporting details because they help the author prove that homeless people do have many problems. So detail number 1 would be hard to stay warm in the winter. Number 2, too hot in the summer. 3, hard to keep things safe. 4, no privacy, right? So all of these were just details to help support this main idea that homeless people have many problems. Okay, so here's another thing about supporting details. I kind of gave this one away, but yes, the supporting details are what I just named before. Okay, so now that you kind of know more about what the main idea is and what its supporting details are, which hopefully this is more of a review from what you may have learned in elementary school, but it's still important in the more, or the, as you go through higher grades or learn more, or even in a different job, our texts that we read may become more complex and difficult or challenging. So even though main idea and details is something you may have learned in elementary, it's going to get harder to identify just because text does get more complex as we get older. You're going to just have to be responsible for reading more complex text. So that's why we still practice it even in middle school and in high school and potentially in college or as an adult. So you're going to watch this Pixar short called Lift It. After you're done with that, you will kind of look at this slide. There's a separate document that I'll show you in the Schoology instructions that you'll actually write on. You won't write on this one. This one's just a visual aid. But you'll see that I have the summary of what the short is about here. But you're going to kind of dismantle using, instead of a text, we're practicing first with a short video clip of a story. So you're going to find what you know is the main idea, who or what is most important, what about them is most important, right? What's the point? And then details that help you support that main idea, okay? And then after you're done filling that out in the document that's in the directions, I do have some main idea details practice that you can do at home on Quizlet. So we'll go back here. Here's the video again too if you want it to go back out. And then if you click on here, this will force a copy for you to complete that graphic organizer. This will be easier to type in, and you'll notice it'll take you. Remember, if you are struggling at getting something to work in that Schoology app, at the bottom right corner of your screen, there should be a box with an arrow coming out. And then if you click that and click Open in Safari, usually it makes things work a little bit better because sometimes the Schoology app can be a little bit finicky. So this is what this looks like. And you'll notice that it has that same summary that was on the slide, but here you can just easily type in the box what you found as the main idea in at least 3 supporting details of that, okay? All right, so that is what you are responsible for today, Tuesday. Know that after you're done reading your choice book for 20 minutes, you also have this discussion for the week. It's not due till Friday, but it has a couple more questions than last week. And I also try to put the rubric so you could see exactly how you're graded here. Remember, complete sentences. So capital at the beginning, period at the end, capitalize the title of your books because they are proper nouns. If someone asks you a question, make sure to answer them, reply to at least one other person. And you're just answering, what book are you currently reading? Is it the same as last week? Why or why not? What was the main idea of the book you read? How do you know? And then the rubric, remember, that's rubric is just how you are graded. So that's what that is here. So I can give you an example of that. So what I would write, because it needs to be in complete sentences, I could say, I am currently reading The Hunting Party. It is the same book as last week, but I need to find a way to check it out. I might have to wait until October 1st. This is because Hoopla returns it automatically after 21 days, and I wasn't quite done reading it because it's a longer chapter book. The main idea, though, of what I last read was that there was a murder, and there are only 13 people that could have done it, and so all 13 of them are potential suspects. And I know this because that's what it keeps coming back to, is we don't know who did it, but we know that no one else was able to get to the area where someone was murdered because there was a big snowstorm, so there was no way to travel in or out. So we know it has to be one of those 13 people. So that is what it keeps going back to, actually, each chapter. So not even just like what I last read, but again and again from the book, that's what it keeps going back to. So that's how I know it's the main idea. All right, so that is an example of that. I want you to remember that Wednesday we have drop-in hours if you need help on anything. But have a great rest of your week.